Okay, guys, so the next portion here is going to be awesome. I've known her for a long time. If you guys don't know her, I'm sure you're going to get to know her today. She hosts the CNR podcast. And without further ado, there's nothing left for me to say. Michelle, come on up here. Michelle Blevins, everyone. All right. Oh, man, you got a good group, too. Look at these guys. All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I know in the afternoon, especially after a big football game, that can be difficult, but the room is full, which is awesome for afternoon sessions. Again, my name is Michelle Blevins. I'm the publisher of CNR Magazine. I've been in the industry for about a decade. One of my big parts of my job is doing the Restoration Today podcast. We release new episodes once a week, and one of my favorite things to do on the podcast is to bring in restorers. So something like this, where I get to talk to three, is extra special. We are recording this today. It'll be live on the CNR website, on our YouTube, and all of that within the next few hours. So I'm really excited that there's gonna be some longevity with this panel instead of listening to it at the show and then kind of going home. This will live for prosperity, I suppose. So I am joined by three great gentlemen here. I'm gonna just go down the panel and have them introduce themselves. I'm hoping that we'll have some time for Q&A at the end, so if you do have questions for them, kind of keep those in mind, jot them down, and hopefully the last 10-ish minutes or so, we'll have time for some open Q&A, some time to pick the brains of these gentlemen who've been doing this for a while. So John, we will start at the end. Go ahead and introduce yourself, share a little bit about your background.
Hi, sorry. My name is Jon Towne from Towne Restoration. We've been in business since 1979. My parents started it. We're in northern Indiana. We're full service, and we service northern Indiana, southern Michigan. And we've been a Trusted Restorer member since 2012. And I actually live in Michigan, and my wife is a big Detroit fan. So thanks last night. She's not happy, so.
Yeah, it did not go so well. Okay. It's not going well for Detroit sports. We won't talk about the Tigers in 15 innings either. Yeah. All right, Zach, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Zakhar Keselman with Cleveland Water and Fire Restoration. We service the greater Cleveland area in Ohio. I started as a general contractor back in 2004, and that company that specializes in remodeling, additions, is still going strong for over 21 years, and we started Cleveland Water and Fire Restoration in April of 2020. Right now, the focus is water sewage, getting more into the fire since it's in our name, and we do mold as well. And then our construction company handles the reconstruction services.
April of 2020, huh? That was an interesting timing choice. All right, perfect. All right, Kevin, your turn.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Kevin Bunce, and I'm the founder and president of AllKlean Cleaning Restoration. We're in Post Falls, Idaho. If you don't know where that's at, if you look at Idaho, we're at the tip of the panhandle. By Spokane, Washington would be a main market next to us. I've been in the industry pretty much my entire adult life, over 30 years. Started AllKlean in 2001 out of my garage and scaled that company up to where it is today.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Okay, softball question to start. So we're at the Trusted Restorer Conference, and a lot of what's talked about in the industry, especially when we're talking about kind of pushback from adjusters or carriers, is it's so important that we're trusted in what we do and that the customer trusts us, the carrier trusts us, the adjuster, everybody involved in the claim cycle trusts us. And that's kind of the theme here of the conference. So I'm curious, by your definitions, what makes your company a trusted restorer? Why are you trusted in your community? Why are you trusted by your customers? What makes you a trusted restorer? So Kevin, maybe we'll start with you and work our way back this time.
It's a great question. I think that I look at being a trusted restorer, and I think about things that what I would call a negative moment of truth for customers. Could be anything from tidiness or lack of tidiness, but I think just in generality, like what makes AllKlean the brand known for who they are in the community is just customer service and always going above and beyond, even when we're probably not wrong, even when maybe we're right and we still do something for that customer, because when I see them at the grocery store or my guys see them at the grocery store, we want that customer to look at us with dignity and respect instead of taint and awkwardness, right? And so I think that just always going above and beyond for the client and for our partners is what makes a trusted restorer trustworthy.
Perfect. Okay, Zach.
So trust is our first core value, because trust is the foundation for any relationship out there, whether it is my relationship with my wife, or the same way our relationship with referral partners or our customers. And trust means, for us, it means two things. One, it means honor, and that honor we give to every customer. Doesn't matter the neighborhood, doesn't matter. Doesn't even matter how the customers treat us. We're going to honor them back because that's who we are. And the next thing is integrity. And a lot of people talk about integrity, that they have it. The way we define integrity is doing the right thing when nobody is watching and when it's going to cost you. So does your team have the permission from you that if by some chance they have dented a person's stainless steel appliance, to let the homeowner know that, hey, we made this mistake, and by the way, we're going to take care of you? Because that's what integrity means, right? If you're in the car next to somebody and you dented somebody's door, are you going to leave your phone number and say, hey, I'm sorry, call me for this? So that's what it means for us to be trusted restorer, that it's not just words, but we're actually living this out every day.
Perfect. All right, John.
Yeah, kind of along that lines, I kind of see kind of when you have a full claim, it's like a triangle. I see you have the restoration company, insurance company, and the homeowners or policyholders. And there's opportunity to do the wrong thing and make money. I mean, we've probably all been in a position where you could have done something unethical and made money and got away with it. You don't do that. Examples we've run into too is with the customer. Sometimes your policyholder may ask a restoration contractor to do the wrong thing. That water damage was in that room too, wink, wink. The contents were damaged as well. Put that on the loss list, wink, wink. And it's a duty for us to get with the insurance company, the adjuster, and just say, hey, this is what's going on, because it's not right, because that does happen. And vice versa with the insurance company and the homeowner. You can't take sides. You're working for them both, essentially. I know the policyholder hires you, but you got to work both. So if the insurance company's not doing their part, we need to step in and make sure it's done properly, because that's happening more and more. I don't tell you guys, it's real rough today, and we want to make sure that customers taken care of and they're owed for like, kind, and quality, and that's what they deserve.
Absolutely. Okay, as a quick follow-up, which can be for any of you, do you have any kind of safeguards in place for if you feel like the trust is waning or something's about to go sideways? Just John, you kind of touched on that a little bit, but do you have any safeguards in place? Anything or maybe your culture just has encouraged your employees to speak up. They just know, like Zach was saying, to speak up. Any safeguards kind of in place that protect your integrity and your trust?
Just say that if there's anything going on, just have a culture that people are able to bring things into the light and they're not punished by it, but it's recognized and rewarded. So then they will feel that it's safe, and lead by example. You know, we had a thing where one of the technicians or project managers brought up that they had maybe some questions about if all the commissions were paid out to them. So we went through the whole audit, and even though it cost us a couple $1,000, just because that trust is so important for us.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so talking about scaling and growth, all three of you have grown successful businesses at this point. So I'd love to know what maybe some of the pivotal moments were for you in your growth journeys so far, maybe some critical decisions you knew you had to make it to the next level for your company. I know, like John and I were talking down below before, and you talked about it's been recent years where you've more scaled, and that's normal for a restoration company, especially a legacy business. Maybe you're at a certain place for a while and then you grow. So what were pivotal moments in your growth to reach maybe the next layer of revenue or the next amount of employees or adding another truck or adding another service line, whatever that may be? Zach, I'll start with you in the middle this time.
I would say the one that comes to my mind right away is when we left our first More Floods training in the end of 2019, and I came in with the goal of hiring a business development rep, and I did not understand yet back then how pivotal that move was going to be for us. Well, actually, the very first business development rep we hired was a complete flop, and then we hired another man that really understood the relationship building aspect. Business development is very different than sales, and he told me right away. He was a seasoned business developer. He came to our team and he said, "I just want to land my plane well." That's what he said. And he said, "Zach, what you're going to see, business development is asparagus." I said, "What do you mean asparagus?" He said, "You know, it takes 2 years for asparagus to show harvest. So it's very different than sales that, you know, you're going to get me out there and you're going to start seeing business coming in right away. We need to be very intentional with these relationships and for people to not feel that they're just a transaction, because otherwise you're just becoming noise with your competition." So just having that business development rep that understands the power of relationship and going above the transaction, what I could see, what helped us to go to the next level. And then he was the man that brought in and trained every other business development in our team.
Very good. Okay. Who else wants? John, you want to go next?
So I've been doing it for 24 years. And one of the things that seems like it's simple to do, but it wasn't, is to say no. You don't have to take all the jobs. If there's red flags, if you don't want it, don't take it. All the red flags are there. So saying no is one. For us, my brother's my business partner. He's not here. But we got a consultant this last 13 months, which has been big for us. It's the first time we've ever done that, so that was big. And also, again, the insurance landscape has been difficult to work with. And probably about 2 years ago, some of the decisions they were making was affecting our business. It was putting a bad light, like a lot of these issues were ours. And we knew they weren't, but we would call it out. And now we kind of changed gears. The gloves are off, very transparent. So if there's something going on, I'll email the insurance adjuster, the agent, and the policy holder, and make sure it's very clear and transparent for everyone. It's a gamble because you get a lot of work from these guys. I get it, but it was affecting our business that we were looking like the problem. So we just gloves off. So that's been a big difference last 2 years.
How did you find your consultant, just as kind of a follow-up? Is it somebody from the industry? Did you do a lot of research? There's a lot of options out there. I bet a lot of people here have thought, oh, maybe I should hire one, but there's a lot out there.
This particular gentleman is kind of a family friend. I didn't really know him that well, so he's local. He's been a very, very successful guy under the radar. He's just, so he's learning a lot about restoration because he didn't know much about the business. He knows a lot now, so he's just a local gentleman.
Perfect. Okay. What you got?
I would say there's probably been a few main pivotal milestones like scaling a company, and I would say the first one was probably just where you add your first employee, your first additional truck, and you learn to delegate to someone else. First time you let someone else do something that you're not doing, and you don't trust them at all, even though you want to. And then as you scale beyond that, I would say you get to where I've been described to it as the road in between, where you have just enough people in your company to do any size job that you want, but you don't really have managers yet. And so that next step of the growth process is building a good management team, finding those people, finding A players, and building your company around people. Because whether we're serving the client or whether we're taking care of referral partners or running our company, it really revolves around having a good team of people and then trusting them and coaching them up to be excellent leaders in your brand. Because without them going to that next level is very, very difficult. Because at some point in your brand, when it gets big enough, you need to have someone who's responsible for production. You need to have someone who's responsible for in-home sales and biz development. And while you're still going to have a handle and a piece on all that, it's really good to have really core people that can grow along that journey with you. And so I would say learning to delegate and learning to trust good people to take on those roles was probably, it's still hard, right? But it's like, it's a very pivotal moment for you.
You have any advice for people that need to kind of let go a little bit, especially from the manager or owner seat? That is hard to do.
Yeah, I think, obviously systems and processes are an important piece of that puzzle, because when people, I think that humans were designed for structure and organization. And so when we have structure and organization in our companies, like, it's easy for people to follow systems. When we first became Trusted Restorer members in 2021, it was exactly what we were looking for, because it was like a system designed to run a water mitt company and market a water mitt company, and we just picked up that system and ran with it. And Jeremy, who is our first business development rep, he was like, well, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know, we have this playbook and we're gonna run it. And we didn't know at the time that it was exactly what we needed, but we knew that if we followed the playbook and did it the right way, that it would work out. And so I think, like, just having systems that your management team can lean on, and then not be afraid to adapt them as times change, right? Things change in the company, new departments get formed, and it's easy to step into that next vertical element of revenue.
Perfect. Okay, so hiring and retention are a big topic in the industry, even with claims volume being down and all of that, which I know that there are restorers in the room who are going gangbusters this year, and also restorers in the room who are like, yep, claim volume is down, and we can really feel it. So that's a conversation that we're gonna get into. I know that there's everybody across the board, but hiring and retention is a conversation that is always prevalent, I think, in our industry, kind of regardless of how the industry is, because the overall economy is, I suppose, because we're a little economic resistant. So I'm curious some of your best practices for retaining your employees. We're gonna do this twofold. So we're gonna go there first, retaining your employees, and then how you're finding new people, bringing new people into the fold. So let's actually start on the new people front. Kevin, I'll start with you on this end this time. So how are you finding new people, bringing them into the fold? Some of your best recruiting techniques.
I would say our best recruiting comes from within. So meaning our people, referring people to our company, and then also our own network. So when we have, and some people might be afraid of that, we've had great success with that. People from our church come to us and they're like, hey, I'm like to get a job at your company. And it's like, you're hired, because I already know them, right? And it's like, I will teach you what we do. Because what I'm looking for and what you're looking for are A players, people who want to buy into the process, who are natural leaders, who have integrity. I can teach them to do anything, right? And so when you have someone that doesn't have those characteristics, I don't care what you're setting out to train them, they're not going to follow the plan. So I would say it starts there, and then if we can't find people there, we'll go to Indeed and other avenues, but generally our best success comes from our network or our team's network.
I like it. All right, Zach.
Hiring or finding talent, it's the same way as you have to look at marketing, and you need to make that funnel as wide as possible. Your best people probably will come through referral. I ask my team constantly, please make a list of 10 people that have influence, and call them and ask them, hey, we're hiring for this position or this position. Do you know somebody? Can you recommend someone? And then have incentives for your team, that when they bring somebody and that person stays for a particular time, that you will reward them with a bonus. And have systems, as that funnel. So you have to think about, LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, whatever else, and then have some type of a assessment system that can keep narrowing that funnel towards the person that you need. So you're not wasting a lot of time reading resumes and calling and doing all that by the time that person comes to an interview, they've been already pre-qualified multiple times.
Okay, go ahead. I had a follow-up, but I'll wait. John, go ahead.
Kind of same thing with you guys, hire within. That's huge for us, where most of our people come from. You know, really what we need is a driver's license, background check, and be a good human being. We start there. We can train anybody. We have an incentive where, I mean, it's not a big deal, but if they stay for 6 months, the person referred them in, we give them $500. And we have company meetings and constantly say that, so they forget. And then I like to give the money to that employee who referred it in front of everybody, $500. It goes a long ways, but definitely within word of mouth, that's the best that's how we've done it since we started, really.
Really quick, what are you finding with wages right now, especially maybe on the technician level? Have they been driving upward? Have they been kind of steady? You don't need to name prices or anything. We don't need to go there, but I'm curious, like, are you finding that your competition is driving them up? Do you have to pay more than your competition? I found companies with good cultures, and you can retain your employees for, you know, $1, maybe less an hour if you have a good company culture, but what are you guys finding in your markets with wages for maybe technicians specifically? Kevin, you want to go first? I love you. Just look at me and wait for me to say your name.
I wasn't sure if am I supposed to go next?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that the market's certainly more competitive than it was, you know, pre-COVID. I think just in general, you need to be competitive in the blue collar space, right? That's kind of, I'm not necessarily looking to hire guys from a certain colored truck, right? I'm not looking for them. If they're a talent and they come to us, like, we're certainly looking to place them if they fit the bill for our company. But the reality is most of those guys don't land at our company because they're probably not cut out for us. But what we're looking for is even at the technician level, those guys can be your next manager. Don't underestimate a 21-year-old kid, right? Because I was a 21-year-old kid once. And those young men are out there who are motivated, they're hungry, they're smart. Maybe they're working at McDonald's because they don't know anything different, right? And so we've had good success out of the food industry in our brand. We've had good success out of other blue-collar industries. They work their way into restoration. And look, if they've been in restoration for a bit and they land at our company, we know they're crazy enough to like it, so we're going to try to find a way to fit them into our brand if they're a fit for us. So I think that you have to be competitive. So the answer is, like, yes, it's more competitive. You know, the cost of labor is higher than it was a couple years ago, but be competitive, have good quality benefits that it takes to retain good people.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments on kind of the wage question?
One comment I want to make is that we pay for production, right? So as long as the labor rate that you're spending on the job, the percentage makes sense, you know, it's better for me to pay somebody $35 an hour that they do a job in 1 hour than to pay somebody $20 an hour and that takes them 3 hours to do that same job. So it's really about what can that person produce, and if they're so efficient and they're a student of their craft and they become better every day, I want them to be compensated well, because it also makes sense for me on the production side based on the labor rate.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
I was going to say, so in the restoration where we're at, the wages have been okay. Last couple of years, it's not been too crazy. But specific for us, we're out of Elkhart, Indiana, and it's the RV capital of the world. If you haven't heard, it's weird. Everybody I know works for it. So these guys, you know, technician level, they can make $40, $50 an hour, and that's where we have to compete. But the RV industry is just crazy. I can tell when they're getting slow because they walk through our doors all the time. So we got to sell a different way. It's not just wages. What else can we offer them? You know, culture, whatever we can do, because we just can't pay $40, $50 an hour for a technician. So we got to look at other ways to do it.
Do any of you have defined growth paths for your technicians? Like, once you come in the door, if you want to work your way up to a project manager, estimator, beyond that even, do you have like actual structured ways that they can work their way up?
Yeah, it's important for them to see this not as a job, but as a career. And, you know, can they see that in your team there were people that started as a technician and they end up being whether a project manager or first responder or whatever that next leadership position is, and can you outline to them what the growth pathway looks like, what promotion increase in pay looks like? Once you lay it down, now the ball is in their court.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else? Sure. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about retention because we kind of dipped our toe there a little bit, and you have all mentioned having a good culture, having good benefits, having good reasons for people to stay with your company. So, John, I'll start down at that end with you first. What are some of your biggest ways that you retain your top talent?
We kind of got bad at this probably 4 or 5 years ago. And one of the things we did is we have company meetings once every month, the first Friday of the month. And it's a good time to recognize birthdays, anniversaries, Google reviews. Those are great. Slap them up on the TV, talk about it. It's been, for culture-wise, it's great. And then any hot topics that come out of a flood, a frozen pipe season or something crazy, it's a good time to regroup. Also, even, for example, this Friday, we're going to bring everybody in about 1 o'clock, cookout, hamburgers, hot dogs, play games, and then wrap it up about 3, send them all home, pay them for the rest of the day, and just have some fun. So we started doing that, and that's gone a long way with them.
Okay. Zach?
Birds of same feather flock together, right? So I can't stress enough how important it is for you to know your core values and hire based on those core values. Because I can tell you, like, if I'm an employee looking for a job, and I know that I want to be a part of a winning team, and I'm coming to your place, and I'm looking at Kevin, and him and I are getting paid the same, but he underperforms, or worse even, that what he does affects my job, I'm not going to be in that company for a very long time. So I would say that don't compromise. Well, know what your values are, and those values are not what is hoped for. It's you discover what your values are. You already have them. So based on those values, that's when during our interview process even, we stress and we are kind of trying to push a person away, telling them that, hey, I just want to tell you, if you don't have, and we have specific questions how we interview to understand if that person has those values or not, and we're saying a month from now, you're going to be fired if we don't see that these values are represented in you. And then what happens is when you have people that, they have the same values, they're driven by the same things, they tend to stay together, and you got to have an incentive pay structure for them and recognition. Because remember, people are loyal to people. They're not loyal to systems and processes and logos and things like that. They're loyal to people. And so does your team really know that you care about them as a person? Do you have a relationship with them where you ask them how their family is doing, how their sick child is doing, and things like that? It's not just a transaction.
Yeah. Okay, Kevin?
Yeah, those are all really great. I think that in general, like our teams, they don't want to feel like a number, and I think like that comes down to being personal and the core values, right? When I look at our company's core values, we talk about them every single day in our brand, and those are really important that we invest back into our team. But when we talk about core values, honesty and integrity is number one. And if someone ever asks me, right, and occasionally when I'm at the production meeting and I'm asked to read off a core value, I will always pick that one. And my definition to the team is like, without honesty and integrity, none of the other core values are going to matter. Because if you can't do that right, you're not going to stay here very long, number one. And we're going to be at odds at some point because your honesty or your integrity, or if my honesty and integrity is not there, at some point I'm going to treat you horrible, or I'm going to do something that maybe is going to break that trust, right? And so treating people right and doing what you say when you say you're going to do it. So if you set out a plan for them, follow through with it, and just, I think in general, just treating people well. I mean, I think there's so many things that go into culture, and it really does start from the top down, and it also can stop with the top down too.
Yes, it can. Every company has a culture, but it's not necessarily a good one. I like to tell people that because, like, oh, we have a great company culture. Well, why? You have to know your why behind the culture. And that is also a good point on, we talked about having a process for people to rise through your company. Well, a lot of companies do have that, but they don't follow through on letting those people rise through the ranks because it's like, oh, well, they're a rock star technician. I really need to keep them in that position. I can't afford to replace them there. And so then they get stuck and then they get bored and then they leave and it becomes a cycle. So, well, I'd love to talk about change management a little bit. Our industry is always changing, whether it's adding verticals, adding different lines to your business, maybe there's new technology. I mean, we're going through a huge technology kind of wave right now with 360 and different ways to document and software and all of these things. And change can be hard for people, especially sometimes people in the field that are like, well, I used to do it this way. I don't want to do it this way. Now, what do you mean I have to, document this way or voice to text or whatever that may be? So how do you manage change in your organization, starting from the top, making sure everybody is adopting whatever change that may be? Maybe you have an example of a change that you've implemented recently and kind of how you were able to effectively get the organization to adopt it. I'll let you guys choose who goes first because everybody's pondering, I think.
I'll go first. I'll just tell a short story of a client I had when I met when I was very young in my business. He had been in business for over 50 years, very successful hair salon in town, does all the movie stars when they come in. And I asked him what was his key to having a business over 5 decades. And he told me something that was very pivotal for me, and he said, never be afraid to change. And a lot of times we get stuck in ruts as business owners and we just are okay with the status quo. And so I think that if you talk to people at our brand, like you'll understand that we've changed a lot in the last 5 years. We've changed a lot in the last 10 years. And that involves technology. It involves always looking for something that's a little bit better than it was the day before. So right now we're at the forefront of AI technology, whether you want to embrace it or not. The insurance companies are using AI to fight you every single day. When you get those emails and you're like, man, how do they come up with the same responses all the time? Yeah, well, it's AI. And so AI is here. It's going to be part of our lives in the business world. And so I would say that's something that we have to be ready to embrace and ready to take that on, right? And we're seeing it also in internet searches, right? So when you search something right now in Google, the first thing that comes up is AI response, and then Google searches, right? And so that's the next, I'm just giving you few secrets, right? So the next wave of SEO is gonna be with AI technology, right? And so never be afraid to change. So how does our team embrace it? We just throw change at them all the time so that they become good at it. No, I think you have to be a champion of change and not be afraid to say, we are going to do this and we can figure this out. And if we don't like it, let's figure out why we don't like it and how can we make it fit the best way. Because a lot of times in our industry, it's full of technologies that don't do everything really well, right? And so we have to have this for this and this for that. And we have 4 pieces of software when really it should be 1. We laugh because it's like the world that we live in. So we have to pick the ones that fit our brand the best and make them work in the best way possible. And maybe we're using this software today, but next month we're going to be using something different. 4 years ago, when we started with Trusted Restorer, we were 100% on paper. You know why? Because that's the way PowerDry did it, and that's the way we were going to do it. And we went paper, then we went digital, then we went technology stacks, right? It's been a crazy transgression of change. And so I would say, don't be afraid to change.
Absolutely. Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, and if you're not changing, you're not growing. And we all have. Just think about companies that were huge companies. I mean, I'm thinking Kodak. They were the first ones actually that had the digital photography technology, and yet they didn't implement the change. They wanted to continue selling paper, and then they declared bankruptcy. I think people don't mind changing. It's how we change them, and we need to lead with what's in it for them. Lead with the why. Lead with the result. Lead with what benefit that they will get from this, or what issue you're trying to solve. Another thing is what we typically do is we go to a conference and we get exposed to amazing information that we want to come and bring to our teams, and we want to create change. and we just kind of try to shove it down their throat. Anyone here has done that? Just me? Okay. But if you can get a buy-in from your team and saying, well, here's an issue that we have, how can we solve it? And they become part of that process, and you can kind of guide it forward because you might already have the vision and how to execute it in front of you. So if you can lead with that way, then I think people will adopt to change.
Perfect.
Yeah, change is very difficult. If our team was here, they'd laugh because my father, my brother, myself, we did it this way. Why? Just because that's how we did it. This is how we do it, and it's laughable. But now we give our key people opportunities to take a project or do something to create that change. I don't like change. I mean, ask my wife. I'm just very rigid. But allowing our key people to take opportunities for the change, they like it, and then it creates a change and see the results. So in that AI thing, I'm 100% opposite of you. We are behind the ball. We've done nothing, but it's going to change everything. And it's sad that we're that aware of it, but we need to get in front of it because we've seen those responses from insurance companies and whatnot, and we've got to get in front of it or else we're in trouble.
Okay, that is the direction I want to go next really quick. So maybe this is more for Kevin and Zach on the AI note, which I will throw out a note and a tidbit because that Google search element is super important. And there are people, I was just talking to a restorer last week who got 2 large commercial jobs from ChatGPT leads. So it is coming, it is changing. HubSpot just released a brand new tool where you can look at your searchability and how you rank, kind of like your Google ranking. It'll show how you rank in AI and some ways to polish up your health and give you an actionable way of how to work on your brand within AI so the searches come out well. Look for me afterward. I can't remember. I'm sure if you Google it, you can find it. But there's a new HubSpot tool that is free where you can look for your AI health and how you're going to turn up in searches. So that's a great tool. I'm using it on CNR. It'll apply to anything. It goes by brand. It can compare you to your competitors. It's great. So, okay. So, Kevin and Zach, how are you implementing AI in your businesses, if at all? If you've dipped your toe into it, if you're getting further. Zach's laughing, so I can't wait to see where this goes. Zach, you can go first.
I'm laughing because I am, I grew up in Ukraine and we weren't allowed to use calculator in our math class. So because you want your brain to work and do a lot of math in your head, which I'm very thankful for now. So that's kind of where I am with AI, is I'm very careful to outsource my thinking because, brain is like a muscle that you need to continue working it. But what I do give is I give my team, my job is to ensure that every department succeeds. So I provide resources and support to say whatever tool we need to implement, buy it. Right now, what we are in the process of doing is we are using an AI tool that will generate, based on the scope that first responders are putting in the field, AI will generate exactimate estimate right from the scope, and it will suggest line items that could be missed. Yeah, that's the extent of where we are now. We're in the state, we're in Ohio, and our attorney said that you cannot have jobs just signing work authorizations without money attached to that authorization. We have to have an amount connected to that, so we have to give prices basically up front. That forced us into finding, is there AI tool out there that's doing that. So that's as far as my AI exposure. We're paying for ChatGPT, and I'm sure my team utilizes it a lot, but me personally, I'm kind of behind the ball on that one.
I do often tell people when it comes to ChatGPT and stuff, you do have to do the thought work. Like, don't expect you're going to get, dirt in, dirt out. So you do have to do some of the thought work and give it the information somewhat, and then it's going to give you better stuff out, because you don't want it quoting the wrong standard or something in the standards that don't exist. It will do that to you as well. So make sure you know what you're putting in and reviewing what comes out of it. Okay, Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm much like Zach. Like I like to think for myself, and I think back to when I'm 51, and when I was in school, My teachers always tell me you need to learn math because you're not going to always have a calculator everywhere you go, Kevin. Well, that was a lie. So, so I use AI specifically personally. I use AI like ChatGPT. Like I subscribe to it mostly as a writing tool for me. So I can give it my thoughts, have it compose an email, and then I can make it sound like a human, like Kevin. And so I use it in that regard. We also have AI tools to analyze basic rebuttal estimates so that we can write good responses back to them. So there's a ton of stuff coming on the market that you guys are going to see in the coming days, right? So as the insurance carriers have their own, right, there's going to be some companies out there that generate tools for us too. So I would say you're definitely going to want to get on board those because it's going to save you a ton of time, right? And it's going to allow you, so it's going to be the fight of the AI bots, and we'll see who wins. But it's kind of an interesting time, right? It's going to be, we'll see how it all shakes out, right? It's kind of fun.
We will see how it all shakes out. I also, for people who are interested in the AI topic and maybe on this line of, I don't know, I have an AI podcast as well with a restorer who actually walks through what he's doing in his business. So we just did one like on ChatGPT, for example, and how to train ChatGPT for your company, how to make your own GPTs within your company, those kind of things. So it's a quick like 10-minute episode. So if you're looking for stuff like that on how to dip your toe in AI, it's coming directly from a restorer, so that might help. You can check the see on our website. No intended plugs there, but okay. I would love to open it up to see if anybody has questions. I do have like maybe one final round robin question for the panel, but does anybody have questions for the panelists before we wrap it up? Anything we've touched on, anything you want to dig into? I think Jason and Stephanie are walking around with mics. It's so bright up here, it doesn't look like, I don't think I see any hands raised, but it's so bright I can't tell.
It's one that High Ground specifically developed for our brands. So it's not something that's open market, but there are people in this room who've developed their own GPTs, right? Inside of ChatGPT, you can isolate ChatGPT to only get the information that you tell it to go get. So you don't really want it out there rebutting your Xactimate estimate from Wardlaw specifically. I'm just saying maybe they have a rebuttal for you. You don't want it going to the internet and looking for the information because it's going to pull all sorts of crazy stuff that might be on someone's website. So you want it pulling specifically from the S500 or maybe some documents that you create for it. So it's out there. If you put some time into it and you're remotely tech savvy, you could build these things on your own. That would be very simple tools, right? But it would at least give you a start in the right direction. But I believe there'll be companies in the coming days that will be presenting these to the market in our industry. So if not, someone here should do it.
How do you see the private equity companies changing our space? I know. Does anybody want to tackle that one? Yeah.
It's busy for sure. In the last 2 years, seen a lot. We've been approached, but we never take it serious. But there's a lot of guys that was part of Trust Restore or, that I hear the story all the time that they had they weren't looking, they had no desire, they got talked to, and they made the move. So I was shocked by some people that have made the move. So I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm very nervous of quality. Hopefully that stays because in restoration we got to have that. So who knows?
I would say personally, just think about it, pray about it, because if you are entertaining that thought, it's going to take a lot of your focus and effort. That's going to take it away from your normal operations. So make a decision, and then once you make a decision, maybe engage with the broker, get multiple offers. You win when they compete, or just direct the emails right to the junk mailbox and don't even look at them. So I would say just from a personal standpoint, that's how I look at it.
So I probably have a different perspective. Our company sold to private equity 2.5 years ago, and I will say this: not all private equity is the same, right? So not every company out there that's out there acquiring companies is offering the same thing. They might tell you on paper that this is what they're offering, but there is a ton of junk going on in the PE space, right? So we just had a brand that was acquired 3 years ago in our market, and they just closed shop here 6 months ago, right? And so it was one of our largest competitors. So how does that happen? I don't know. You know, I don't really know. I'm not them, but there is a firestorm going on over there at that PE, and I would just say it's probably some bad decisions along the way, compounded upon bad decisions, upon industry changes, right? There was a really big influx of work in our region in 2024 with the giant freeze surge, and if you don't manage that well, like, you're chasing money, right? You go out and do $1 million projects and you get $400,000 and you're chasing that money for the next 2.5 years. It creates problems for those companies, and I don't plan, or, you know, I don't have the answers for why they are where they're at, but I will just say that not all private equity companies are the same, and really, like, leaving your brand to someone else, you have to know that you're partnering with the right company, right? And so that decision is for every founder, every owner to make on their own, like Zach said. And I do believe strongly in the decision we made. And so how do I feel like it's changing industry? Private equity is in every industry that you are part of. Every grocery store, every department store, every theme park, it's involved everywhere. If there's money being made, private equity's in it, whether you realize it or not, and you're like, oh, I didn't know they were owned by private equity. You start to see it when you start looking around, and it kind of gets a bad rap. Everyone's like, well, the corporate cronies are buying up all the local guys. It's like, yeah, it's going to happen, right? And not everyone can buy your $10 million restoration company. That's the reality, right? So not everyone can do that. Might not be able to be your kids, and it might not be able to be someone in town that's an entrepreneur, but private equity might be interested in it, right? And so those are just the decisions that you guys who are building your brands out here as founders have to make on your own when you get to that point. So we weren't looking to sell. Like you heard what your comment, John, and it's like we were in that same boat. It's like we weren't looking to make a move. It just happened, and the timing was right. And I wouldn't change it for anything. So
That was a good question and really good answers by all of you. It is changing the industry dramatically, so those are really good answers. Okay, maybe one more question? Yes, no? Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna do final round robin here. My favorite question to ask restorers is to just share a favorite story from your time in the industry, whether it's a loss that maybe your company handled, or maybe something that happened within your company with an employee. Could be anything, maybe a lesson that you learned as a leader, anything, like a favorite job or a most memorable story from your time in the industry so far. As you guys are all pondering, I'll let you think about who wants to go first. Okay, go ahead, Zach.
Can I share two? One really quick one. The really quick one is we do survey calls, and we called this lady, said, you guys, she's a single lady, and she said, you guys were like a family to me during this process. I don't know what I would do without you. And so we right away, we didn't have a good slogan back then, and we said, that's going to be our slogan. We're the family you can count on in your time of need. So it's just really cool to see behind all the headaches that we're dealing with that there's people out there that are being affected personally in a good way. My other story is a business development story. That gentleman that I spoke before that understood the value of building relationship, and it takes time. He called one of our referral partners, and he asked him what he was doing on the weekend. And the guy said, I'm celebrating my anniversary with my wife. And he said, oh, where? He said, in Hershey, Pennsylvania, this and this resort. And it's just incredible how he is such a good listener. And he called that resort and said, hey, this and this person is going to stay in your resort, checking in tomorrow. Can you please make sure that they have the best bottle of champagne and chocolate and a card from our company. And just imagine what when they walked into their room, what their reaction was going to be, because we went above and beyond of just a transaction. So I love that story.
That is a great story. I love it. Okay, who wants to go next? John, you ready?
This one's not memorable for good, but we had a, there's two of them, but this other one's lengthy. So we had a gentleman, actually my uncle, worked for us for 42 years and retired, and he sold his truck, retired, and then he got bored. So he came back kind of part-time, and the entire time he was with us the first time, he had his own personal vehicle. He didn't have a company truck, he didn't want one, and so fine. So when he retired, he got rid of his truck, and then so when he started helping us, we were busy, we needed all the help we can get. So he came back to help us out, and then so we got him a company vehicle. It was one of our board-up vehicles, emergency board-up vehicles we had that we could use, so we gave him that. And ironically, I was walking, she probably remembers this, I was on a Sunday walking the dog. So he was working or whatever, and on a Sunday morning, he parked his van just outside the garage, and it's a board-up van. He's worked for us forever, and we owe the guy a lot. He's why we're here, right? You know. And the van caught fire in his driveway, caught his house on fire. So nothing says thank you for your 42 years like burning the house down. So it didn't burn down. It was repairable. It wasn't terrible, but kind of sticks with you. So it's like, here's a free vehicle, and we'll burn your house down. So, yeah.
Good thing he knew who could fix his house, I guess.
Well, to top it off, the way it ended up being, it was like an ACV policy. So I'm sure everybody here knows what that is, but if not, they only paid half. It was like a $50,000 claim. So we paid for it all. I mean, obviously. So to make it even worse, they didn't even have the monies to fix it. So it was, so yeah.
Great story, John.
He stopped working for us after that. He was done.
Okay, Kevin, can you follow that one?
Like it never happened? Little fun there. All right, so I'll tell a fun story from 1999. So I was 25 years old, and I was the general manager of a big restoration company in Lewiston, Idaho. We were having our grand opening. I remember these details because like grand opening is a Friday afternoon, and it was about 3:30, and some kids had vandalized the school on the last day of school. Turned on the fire hose in the gymnasium and flooded the entire gymnasium. So our supplier, LPM Supply in Spokane, Washington, was there at our open house, and they were just nerding out. They wanted to go see this flooded gymnasium. At the time, no one knew how to dry flooded gymnasiums, but just earlier that year, I'd went to a dry symposium, and I heard Kurt Bolden speak, and he told this whole story about drying this gymnasium. I'm like, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do it just like he did. And it was a unique project, very challenging, but we dried that gymnasium floor. It took about 5 days, and it was an interesting project, right? I had to have an electrician come out, get me multiple 220s to the center of that gym on a Friday. It was a great time to have a great relationship with a good electrician. Accomplished all that, set up desiccants, push and pull method, suck the water out from underneath the floor. Like I said, had the gymnasium dried. Now, you won't believe it, but the school district argued the bill, and it was like the gymnasium floor cost $500,000 back in 1999, and I think our bill was like 65 grand. And anyways, they were just arguing left and right. I had to go before the board, and it's like, look, man, I saved you guys so much money. I know it costs a lot of money to dry this floor, but no one in this town or in this region is drying this floor but us. And anyways, so it's still kind of my claim to fame. Dried gymnasium floors before people knew how to do it, before mats were a thing. But I really kind of equate it down to like hearing Kurt Bolden talk, and he's just kind of a legend in the industry. Hearing him talk about how he dried a gymnasium floor, and I'm like, I can do that. And the guys from LPM, Scott and Tim, the owner, they were there, and they helped me set up the air movers. It was like, I put those guys to work. They said, we're going to come help you. And I'm like, all right, I need all those air movers out of the truck. And it was a fun job. But I think about just our clients call us, right? and they expect us to know the answers. I did not know the answers, but I was like, I told them, I can figure this out. We can dry this floor. What was their options? Tear it out? They already knew it was $500,000 because they'd just done it the year before from vandalism. And so they already knew the cost, and we saved them $400-some thousand, and they still complained. And that's just kind of the nature of our industry, is like, even when we do good things, people still complain about the cost. It's like, yeah, it costs a lot of money, but it wasn't $500,000, and you're back in business, and I know school's out, but the kids will be ready by fall, so anyways.
Great story. Perfect. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, a pro tip, if they complain about the amount of the bill that we all hear all the time, I just politely tell them, what time do you want us to come back? We're bringing the water back. We're putting it back in your home.
We can do it again.
Yeah,
It's fine.
use that. It'll be a good
It's a
conversation.
lot quicker to flood it than to fix
Yeah,
it.
we'll put it back in then.
All right, well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Everybody, please give these gentlemen a round of applause. Thank you so much for being part of the panel.
Awesome. Quick photo. All right. Look that way. Look that way. right up the runway there. That's what I like. Yeah. Just smile. Michelle, that was great. Just smile, guys. It's got to be fine. All right. Thank you guys again. Nice job. It's refreshing to actually have a podcast host that asks questions we want to know the answers to, right? And it's really awesome to just have collaborative conversation. So thank you so much, Michelle. That was a great job.